All right, predict to commit. Some moving and shaking went on over the last week, at least on my team, I guess. Maybe not as much on your side of things. So Jordan's team, he's got 3 correct commits right now. That is Jared Curtis, Carter Lucky, and Jordan Smith. The only ones that have committed elsewhere up to this point. But like Jordan said, who knows? Maybe he could get that right in the future. Mark Bowman and Jared Smith. Also on his team, Derek Cooper, Tyler Atkinson, Kamari Brooks, PJ Dean, Craig Dandridge, James Johnson, Caden Prothro, Desmond Green, Ole Miss linebacker commit Isaiah Williams, Tico Crittenton, and Vodney Cleveland. You got Cooper and Atkinson coming on OVs this weekend. So we'll keep an eye on that. On my team, I've got Graham Houston, Zach Fort, Ryan Mosley, Justice Fitzpatrick, and Zyke Helton. That's 5. 5-3. I'm not saying it's not over. 5-3, but you've only got 2 misses. I've got 3 misses now. I have Jackson Cantwell, I've got Peyton Dyer, and I've got Whitley Caddo. I'll say Peyton Dyer was right at one point in time. I'm just going to say that. We'll leave it at that. But I that one's not going to sit right with me. Still, there's more on my team that I'm not feeling great about at this point in time. But I've also got running back Jay Lamar, offensive lineman Malcolm Gaston, safety Tyreek Green, offensive lineman Ekene Boko, offensive lineman Brett Koleje, defensive lineman Ernest Rankins, Alabama offensive line commit Chris Booker, and defensive back Chase Calicut. I've got Tyreek Green and Brett Koleje coming on OVs this weekend. We're just doing one predict to commit today. Jordan, I will let you go first.
What a nice guy. Because I'll be honest, I was terrified if you went first because I was like, there's one guy I feel pretty good about. And besides that, I just don't know where I'm going to go.
I've got 2, so we'll see. And a reminder for those listening, we are only selecting predict to commits from the list of prospects that are on Georgia's official visits, or I'll even say unofficial visits too. If you want Malachi Lee, you can have Malachi Lee. On Georgia's official visit this weekend, June 13th to 15th. So it is a smaller sample size of recruits that we're picking from here.
And I will pull this up real quick. And I've got my selection, but just for the fun of it while I'm pulling this up, who do you think I'm going to take? I've already got my selection. If you say a name, I promise I am not going to pivot. I know who I'm taking.
I think you're going to take Valden Sohn.
You are incorrect.
Okay.
That is not who I was going to take. I'm going to take Terrius Favors. I just have a feeling it kind of goes back to that conversation we had about Vance Spafford, that I just think ultimately he's not going to be part of this class. And I think you got a guy with this kind of talent and him just kind of hanging around. This might be one that we don't really know one way or the other for a while, because we do need to see that recruitment play out. But like I mentioned earlier, Carver, Atlanta, 5'10", 160. And I'm just always interested when Georgia starts looking at guys that, are, play both ways and have that potential. And, even if they are really eyeing him as a wide receiver, I don't know. I got a feeling. I felt like it was kind of tough. And yeah, I mean, you named the 2 guys that I was kind of thinking about. But when you gave me the first pick, I was like, I got to go get Favors because he's the one that I feel the best about among our options this week.
Well, I'll admit I gave you the first pick because I was between Terrius Favors and Valden Sohn, and I didn't want to have to make the decision. I was at peace knowing that there were really only 2 that I felt comfortable putting in there. Though Malachi Lee, there's maybe an interesting conversation to have around that one. I don't know yet. But I knew I would be at peace. If Terrius Favors ends up in Georgia's class and Valden Sohn doesn't, I can just chalk it up to I gave Jordan the first pick, and I will never know which direction that I was going to go with the first pick. But I will take Valden Sohn. Look, this is a guy that left an Auburn official visit, immediately came to Georgia for an unofficial, camped at Georgia, hung around for multiple days, rescheduled an official visit with Georgia for this upcoming weekend and canceled it with Florida, all while having to be back and forth between Sweden, which is where he's from, during his offseason. And so there's a lot going on. And for him to work Georgia into his schedule twice in 2 weeks for multiple days, both times, and for him to have to call another coaching staff that he had a good relationship with and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it because I'm going to Georgia instead, that signals really good news for Georgia. And he fits that prototype of 315, 320. He could probably bulk into that zero tech nose tackle type. And we've said multiple times, like, who is that guy for Georgia in this class? It's been hard to figure out, like, who is that going to be? Even Kendall Guerville, who I think Georgia is sneakily in the mix for more than we think. Like, he's even probably that 3-tech guy that could shade inside to 1 or 0 at times when he needs to. Valdon Stone, I think, he is a big, big dude. Everyone that I've talked to that has seen this guy, and I saw him down in San Antonio for the All-American Bowl, but everyone that I've talked to that's seen him in the last couple of weeks has just been like, that is a large, large human being. Georgia tends to have quite a bit of success with that type.
Yeah, it was between Stone and Favors for me, and I think ultimately why I didn't pick him, I feel like the last 2 or 3 predicted commits, I'm just like pulling defensive linemen and just hoping somebody hits. But no, I think he makes a lot of sense, and yeah, I mean it makes sense with JJ Hand what they got with him to maybe try to develop a pipeline sort of and go that international route, but. Like you said, he checks a lot of boxes, and we still have a lot of questions about the defensive line. You could get this nose tackle type and get him in and get him some time to learn the ropes. I think that there's a lot of potential with him.
No doubt. Well, Jordan and I are set to have a lot of hits and misses over the next 2 weeks. It's going to be busy time. We might go, I had, I don't know, 3, I guess, hit just in the last week and a half, basically. So it's going to be that time of year. And I've had 2 miss just in the last 4 days. So it's that time of year. These types of things are going to be happening in doses.